Welcome back to the EAM Crypto channel. My name is Enrique, and today we are going to have a special guest. His name is Keegan. This guy is a crypto analyst through and through. Doesn't matter what vertical of crypto you're talking about, he knows his stuff. So I thought it'd be really cool to bring him on and just talk about a couple of different news items and assets. So let's jump into it. Welcome back to the EAM Crypto channel. Happy Thursday, everyone. Today we have a special guest with us. His name is Keegan. He's from the Gem Hunters. Keegan, how you doing? Thank you for joining the channel.
Really appreciate it. Glad to be on. Yeah, it's a beautiful day, and crypto's actually looking not too bad today. So
It's looking a
it's
little
great to be here.
stronger. Yeah, looking a
Yeah.
little stronger.
hmm It's good to see.
So
We're no longer making absolutely lower lows.
that's right. That's right. So Keegan, you are with the Gem Hunters. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah. So TGH, we do a lot of research into just different crypto projects around the space, in basically all different facets of crypto, whether it be L1s, games, different types of infrastructure like oracles, launch pads. The list goes on and on. The number of things in crypto is insane, which I love after having gotten into it. And yeah, our
Yeah,
goal is just to search and educate people
Yeah,
about.
it seems like a great fit for you, man, because you seem to be like just very, very knowledgeable of all different verticals and facets of crypto. Seems like no matter what we're talking about, whether it's a gaming token or an L2, it seems like you really have your head down and in there and doing all sorts of research. So great to have a true crypto analyst on the channel. Thanks for coming on.
Really appreciate that. Yeah, I find it a lot of fun. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
always happy to talk.
Nice. Well, let's get into it, man. There's a lot to talk about. It's actually really exciting. And for me, what's really exciting is that Bitcoin is showing significant strength for the first time in a bit. I really like the fact that this little trend line I drew, it seems to be able to, it seems like it supported it, didn't go below it. Thought it was pretty important for it to stay in this little path. I know it's not the longest time frame there, but it's looking really strong. Keegan, I think that Bitcoin is headed to these levels up here. That's why I have this drawn up. There could be some serious resistance around 32.5, 33. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think we're headed that way. And I think we're going to fill the gap to 35,870, maybe even wick to 36.37 before actually hitting some really hard resistance. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. On the first half, that I definitely think we'll hit towards that 35K, and then what I think we'll do is we'll come back and test that 25K again. Because if you can see, we're gonna make a bear div here on the MACD if you wait like I don't know a week or two on the daily there, and we're gonna make a pretty
Mm-hmm.
harsh bear div.
Mm-hmm.
If we just keep pumping, and so then that'll be a pretty obvious short back down to the downside, and which would
Yep.
be. But if we do get that bounce after another retrace, because I do see another retrace here, that's where you would want to start entering again if you haven't already started entering.
Yep. Yep. No, that all makes sense. What are you going to
Yeah.
do if it somehow crosses this level, retests it, and stays above it? Are you going to take a long there or are you still going to play it safe?
I would throw a small long, but not a big one, just because then I'm just leaving everything else to ride. Then I'm going to see if it actually follows through, and then I'm going to start buying alts.
There you go, man. I say this all the
It
time,
actually
the
has
follow
legit
through.
reversal,
Yep.
then start buying alts. Not till then.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Love that. Yeah. Price action follow through, man. People do not put enough emphasis on the follow through. It's critical, 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 critical. All right, man. So, talking about things that are critical and the nuances and the little things that matter, I saw something pretty interesting the other night. I couldn't help but notice that on May 23rd, and I actually did a video on it,
Hmm.
Ethereum had a pretty obvious high right here. And then if you look at the high off May 31st, it was considerably lower. But then if we look at the MACD of those two dates, you will see that the MACD on the 23rd was down here. And then you see this classic bearish indicator. Thought that was a pretty obvious spot to take a short on Ethereum. And we were talking earlier, and you told me that some things happened with Ethereum. It looks like there was some kind of scare, and it looks like it was around that time, which I think is fascinating because that tells me that the charts, the TA somehow knew about this. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what happened?
Yeah, so I think it was one of those like weird coincidences where TA and FA align, and if you just saw it, you took advantage. Because the Ethereum, the proof of stake chain went under a reorg, which generally is considered not good. However, it wasn't really a catastrophic reorg. The problem is that people that had their old clients for staking hadn't updated their clients, which you kind of have to do if you're going to be a validator for the staking chain.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, had over 3 weeks, didn't update, and so basically old clients just disagree with new ones, and that caused the reorg, and it caused quite a bit of a sell-off. If you zoom in there, that the kind of the fall off, and then the pump back up, where you described where we had a bear div, that fall down and then pump back up earlier, maybe I don't know 2 days before that, go back a little bit, and that was where that sell-off was. The prior sell-off from that.
Right there. Okay.
The
Interesting.
prior sell-off.
The prior one. Got it. Yeah.
That little
Interesting.
cup. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it was kind of a weird, but at this point we do have a bull div on larger time frames, and then on longer just viewpoints. And we're at a fairly good region of support. I mean, I wouldn't be shorting here. I mean, if you were going to short, you should have shorted.
It's done. Yeah, it should be closed by now. Yeah, not financial advice. I'm just telling you guys how I see things, my moves. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, if you were going to open the short, it should have been at like that 3,500 rally back up, not at the bottom of that move.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be two steps behind.
No, that's the worst thing you could be. I'd rather be 5 steps behind than 2 steps behind. Actually, it's just the way it kind of works out.
Because these 2 steps behind, or with 2 steps behind, you're just gonna get directly wrecked.
That's right.
At least with 5, you have a chance of the old phase being over.
Yeah. At least you can have a shot at getting lucky there, which is really funny. All right, man. Real quick, BTC dominance. That looks all sorts of strong. Do you agree?
I agree heavily. Yeah. Regardless of what happens if Bitcoin goes up or down, I think it's just going to keep Bitcoin Dom is going to fly over 50.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So would you agree with my assessment from a few days ago that right now the move is probably BTC versus alts, at least while we go up to this, try to fill the gap of CME?
I agree with that. Yeah. I wouldn't be majorly buying into alts right here because I do think that Bitcoin will take the stage, and then if it like you said, if it actually breaks through and then makes a new support out of old resistance, awesome, then you can start moving into alts. But if it does get rejected there, that's the sign that Bitcoin will dump, then alt will dump even harder, and then the Bitcoin dominance is going to spike even more.
Okay, so guys, this is a little ahead here. We're talking now. What Keegan's talking about is if we're over this part up here. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, these are just all potentials. What could happen. And so I don't know. It really depends. I do think though that regardless of what the Bitcoin price does, that the Bitcoin dominance will go up.
Yeah, agreed, man. Absolutely agreed. All right, so let's talk about Solana. You're the man with the with some of the really kind of gutty and details, and I'm not a dev, so I'm gonna kind of lean on you here. But look, man, I've been saying for a while that from a technical perspective as a trader, that it seemed like the best level of support, if you're really patient, is $23 a token, $23 for a Solana token, and that was something that I would have felt a high level of confidence, and I would have thought to myself, I can really be assertive when that happens down here because of this level of support right here, guys. But with some of the issues happening, Keegan, it looks like I'm starting to doubt if we can trust this asset long term. So let me begin there. Before we talk about the issues that have happened with it behind schedule, and then the latest issue is that 2 different nodes on the same block were creating different results. Really scary stuff there. Before that, I'm just going to ask you point blank. In 5 years, do you think Solana is still around?
Not as Solana itself.
And what do you mean by that?
I think it'll have to fork I think we'll just have to make a new chain, just because I think there will be too many errors that accumulate that you'll just have to make a new one. Personally, I mean, I'm not. That's not to say that it can't do well after that happens, or it can't do well now. I mean, hell, I could be wrong.
Yeah,
But I only
you
have a few
could.
that I realistically think in 5 years, like I would put my money on that they would be here in 5 years, and that's Bitcoin, ETH, BNB, and then stablecoin.
Okay, and
Stablecoin,
I would add
1000%.
KuCoin to that. I would,
USDC and yeah, I remember you talked about that. That
yeah.
it's they're taking the similar route to Binance, and I think that's a really good move.
It's the blueprint. They're basically said, okay, let's look at the blueprint that Binance is doing. We're going to do it. And it seems to be working really, really well for them. I have made a lot of fun of BSC in the past. I always said that's the blockchain where you catch STDs. I'm done with that joke. I'm done with making fun of BSC. You guys have done great. And in 5 years, I will be shocked if you're not around. Okay,
Yeah.
so Solana, some of the technical, really big issues. If you're a Solana holder, how scared are you right now when you hear these stories about all these issues and it breaking down 7, 8, I don't know, maybe more times? You tell me.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So for me, this, I don't know if because like my largest holding is probably ETH by percentage, right? And so if my ETH blockchain just stopped working for like, I don't know, 10 times in the last year, I probably wouldn't be using it anymore, personally. So if I, look at that just objectively, if I was holding a bunch of Solana and it didn't work for 10 times during this year, a lot of those being for multiple hours, I would have major trust issues.
Yeah.
The whole point of the blockchain is to be able to just always have it on.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a blockchain. I don't know. Yeah, man, pretty scary stuff for sure.
Actually. I mean, yeah, it's still a ledger, but it's not always on, which is weird.
Very weird.
Very weird. So could I think? I agree with 23? By the way, I think it's a really strong area of support, but I think that what happens after that bounce will come down to whether or not they fix their issues. Because I think that bounce will happen regardless of like whether the blockchain fixes its stuff or not, just because that's how TA works. People will see the support. They'll be like, oh, it's time to buy. It's a perfect buy. Who cares if they'll fix it? And then
no doubt.
after that comes down to, well, will they? And so if it actually gets fixed, awesome. But man, that I've never seen a blockchain literally not work this much.
Yeah, it's been crazy, and I don't know. I mean, what you just said makes sense. But these markets have been so erratic, and all the moves have been happening very, very quickly. In the past, you would just kind of see slow moving assets going down to a moving average or of many days. It's not happening like that. Everything is either it's happening really fast, either up or down, which is really weird. It's the weirdest thing. Even index funds are doing that. I've never seen that happen. It's just weird.
That's weird. It's not supposed to happen.
It's not supposed to happen. Weird. Okay, so as we wrap things up, Keegan, real quick, man, wanted to talk about Ethereum 2.0. I know that you're very much entrenched in what's happening with the merge. One thing that's funny to me is how I see it everywhere, whether it's Twitter, Discord, everywhere. A lot of people seem to think that because of the merge and because they're going from proof of work to proof of stake, that you're going to see lower Ethereum fees, ETH fees. That's not going to happen. That's not part of the plan. It's not supposed to happen. And a lot of people seem to think that. Are you concerned that everything goes well, but then the fees don't drop, so people just kind of freak out, and then before you know it, you see a dip? Or like, what do you think the price action is going to be around that time in June? Or August,
so
I think.
Funny enough, I think it's going to be something more akin to EIP 1559, where there was, if you zoom in like on the daily back to like wherever the EIP 1559 was back in the summer, you can see literally the slight run up beforehand, the sell off the day of, and then the Uber pump when people were like, oh wait, we're burning ETH. Holy shit. They were like, oh wait, the fundamentals of this matter. It wasn't just a purely sell the news event, because it was a literal change to the way the blockchain worked. And the same thing I think will happen here, that I think there will be a sell the news, because that's just how people work.
How it works. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just how people work. But I think that long term, then people will realize, oh, wait, they just fundamentally upgraded. And so why would I then sell this asset that is now going to be essentially the only crypto bond? If you consider ETH 2.0 as a bond, you're basically just staking and getting back that initial asset, right, for maintaining the network, which for institutional buyers is huge. They can see that as a bond with 10%. Like, that doesn't exist anywhere else. And on a deflationary asset. So I think the short term, yeah, there will be a sell-off just because people are people. Always happens.
Yep.
But I also don't think there will be this massive unstaking thing that people keep claiming. Because 6 months after the merge, no unlocks. You cannot unlock your ETH for 6 months until Shanghai is upgraded, and so there won't be that huge unlock and sell right away. And then even when Shanghai does happen, there is quite literally a line. You got to sign up to like leave this line. Kind of like how there's a line to actually get into the ETH2 staking. And the reason they do this is so there isn't massive supply shocks. They did it on
it's
purpose.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really brilliant idea, but I think a lot of people just don't understand that, and they don't even realize that there won't be this massive supply shock. And so they overestimate the amount of selling, I think, that will happen.
Yeah, I agree, man. Even though selling the news is just the way it always is and it's going to happen, you can kind of count on it. I do agree with everything you just said. I really do. I do think that the most interesting thing for me is going to see how this affects the L2s, ZK rollups, and Optimus roll. I mean, I do think that you're going to see one of those things where that could be the future. It really can, a midterm, like late 2022, 23. I think that's finally going to be the time for them to shine. So I'm really, really going to be looking forward to seeing how that is affected. And I really want to make sure that I invest in that in some way, shape, or form. So maybe something for us to talk about next time, which CK rollups we like the best. I don't know.
I love me some ZK rollups.
Yeah,
that is magic math.
we've talked about that before. Yeah. So that we'll make that a topic for sure. So Keegan, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. We'll have to have you on too. We'll bring you over. We'll talk about the markets and get to learn your story, because I think it'd be great.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Take care.